This video is sponsored by Zenonzon. Oh, seriously, another Zexal play?
Are you tired of every player starting their game with Zexal?
Yeah?
Game already over before you even played your first card?
Tell me about it.
How about not being bad?
What?
I mean, don't worry, it's not you, it's your deck. It's, dysfunctional.
How are you inside my head?
Don't worry, Tom. I've been inside you all this time.
Seriously, dude, that's kind of gross.
No, more like Yugi and the Pharaoh. But unlike the Pharaoh, I'm more of a troll and I love watching you lose.
Get out of my head. Hey guys, it's Tom Bucks. Welcome to MST.TV. This episode, I would like to call it Meta Shift, where we talk about upcoming plays going into the Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG. Now, for this episode, we're going to be talking about Numerons and their more than annoying Numeron opening of Utopic Zexal, which hand traps are effective against it pre or post-Zexal. But wait, there's more. We're also going to show you guys the damage chart to survive their battle phase OTK. If you guys like videos like this one, make sure you guys smash that thumbs up button and hit the subscribe and ding the notification bell if you guys want more videos from myself or Nishi, and stay up to date with MST.TV. Let's face the facts here. If Utopic Zexal is left completely unchecked all the way through, decks like Adamantipator, Shadal, Invoked, Pendulums, they can't even activate their scales, Dragon Links won't be able to search anything. All of these decks that require any form of activation will not be able to play for at least 2 turns. And that's usually going to lead to their death right away. And last I checked, most decks don't exactly have traps in their line. Tom, you forgot Altergeist. Now, another scary fact about the card Numeron Network is that if you're going second, you have a chance to OTK your opponent and force your opponent to activate a lot of cards to just survive the turn, as long as they left a monster on the field for you to attack. For a single card to have that much impact, it's going to attract a lot of counterplays and a lot of hand traps towards it so that it does not go through successfully. But even then, it is able to bait out some of these cards so that your other remaining 4 or 5 cards is able to go through successfully, as long as it's not combo reliant. So in other words, if you're playing control deck, might be an engine that would work for you. To give us some context for the hand traps, we have to look at the key points to the Zexal opening play. It's either the Numeron Network activating first or the Numeron Wall. Either way, you're going to Numeron Network to lead to the Numeron Calling. That's going to generate 4 bodies, all light machine monsters, and it can go into 2 directions. It can go into the C1, or it can go to Utopic Zexal. C1 is a dark monster, so this whole combo does work under Goes in Match, which is why it's not very effective. Now, looking at point number 1, going to Zexal if you're going first, or you get the 3k burn in the going second of main phase 2. That's usually going to be enough, and it's going to be a pretty rough ride from there on. Now, if Utopic Zexal comes out, it's really difficult for anyone to play if they don't play any back row. Any sort of spell and trap, you can look at Adamantipator why they struggle so much against this particular deck. They need that hand trap to negate it. And the thing about it is it's very hard because Numeron Network and Numeron Wall both are basically unaffected by Ash Blossom Joyous Spring, because Numeron Network sends the spell card Numeron Calling as a cost. And since it's a cost, like many other things like Lunar Lights and whatever else that sends things for costs, it's not going to work because that's not the effect. And Numeron Wall activates it straight from the deck, so it bypasses the hand, and that's the one thing that Ash can't really stop. Anything that just straight up banishes or straight up activates onto the field or sets onto the field, Ash does not affect it. So those are some of the strong points. One of the weaker points would be that this entire effect summons about 4 monsters at the very least. So with the 4 monsters summoned out, you can obviously use the big rock in the sky. But that only works if they're going first. If they're going second, then not so much, because they're going to summon out the 4 monsters, swing into your face, and maybe you're already dead by then. So that's the context right there. Let's look at some hand traps that, well, aren't very effective. Now, for ineffective hand traps, we have Ash Blossom Joyous Spring, because it doesn't really have a timing to activate, sends for cost, and activates straight from the deck. Just no effect to really kind of counter with Ash. Effect Veiler, it has bad timing, because the bad timing is you need to activate it during the draw phase, standby phase, or the main phase of your own turn. Basically chain onto the Zexal, but you can't do anything with Effect Veiler during your own turn. It's for like summoning and synchroing. And then there's Ghost Mourner, which is a trigger-based effect. Again, same problem as Effect Veiler, bad timing. It doesn't really have an activation timing. Now, you can't really just straight up cut these cards out. They're still meta relevant for a reason, because the Crystron Cleaverback combo is still super strong. And with a Crystron combo like that, and perhaps not just Crystron, but any other combo decks that rely on monster effect activation or straight up summoning from the deck, these are still required, because these are some of the best options still. And, well, with the Numeron Network combo coming in, or rather the Numeron Network play coming in, it's going to dilute the hand trap pool a little bit, or it's going to make it a lot more focused. It's going to make it a little bit more predictable if it becomes like straight up meta, because some cards are just ineffective, and these are some of the most effective ones against Christian Cleaver Brax. So if this one comes in, people are going to run more cards that overlap, that are able to counter both. Perhaps not as effectively as they want, but maybe you'll just need it. And here's a little side note for you guys for Eldritch players and Subterror players. Eldritch, if you want to play the Christian combo, the whole Synchro engine, then you can't play the Numeron stuff because it eats up too much of your extra deck space. Subterrors, likewise, you need this extra deck space. So in other words, you might need to cut out your Pot of Extravagance, or you just overload your extra deck, but there's a bit of like, diminishing returns when it comes to that. So just keep that in mind. Now for disruption hand traps to prevent the combo from being successful, Nibiru will fail most of the time unless you're fighting against a specific matchup. Ghost Ogre is pretty good at popping the field spell when the field spell activates, and then there's D-Shifter. If you can run D-Shifter, banishing is locked in. Therefore your opponent cannot send cards from the deck to the graveyard as cost. So they won't be able to send Numeron Calling, ultimately making their card pretty useless. Now, why is Nibiru so bad? On paper, it sounds really, really good. They're going to summon up 4 monsters and then go to Zexal. Well, to play around it, just summon 3 monsters. You don't have to summon all 4. So with that, they'll just summon 3 and go into Zexal, and then you're basically screwed. So there's not much you can do about that. And if they go second and they're trying to push for a game, Nibiru can't drop because they're going to summon 4 monsters in attack position and go into battle phase. They're not going to pursue any further. Well, unless they do. If they do, then yeah, go ahead, drop Nibiru on them, and then you can give them like a 400 defense token, and that will keep you alive for sure. But that's why it's still there, because it can still be useful, because whenever they're going for maximum damage, I'm going to show you guys the chart after this. And then Ghost Ogre, still pretty decent, even against Christian Heckler Firebrax combo. You can still pop the Christian. I think it's effective, but they'll still leave a tuner, so if they're able to extend past that, pump in 2 additional monsters, you're still dealing with full combo from there. So that's why Ghost Ogre isn't played very much. D-Shifter is D-Shifter. If you can play it, play it. But if you can't, it's mainly because the drawbacks affects you just as much, and it stuns you out from your own turn being effective. Let's just face the facts here. It's just not the most ideal to kind of break the combo with hand traps. And I know how annoying it is for, cards like VFD or Zexaled to be played, because it just feels like you're getting FTK, your turn's getting skipped. And a quick word from our sponsor. If you guys like me hate FTKs, then you guys are going to love this. Zenonzard, which is today's video sponsor. Aside from being today's sponsor, I actively play Zenonzard on my own time, and I'm trying to climb to the master rank. So what is Zenonzard? If you take AI and you take an anime card game, smash them together, and you get the artificial intelligence card game that is now available for global release. The game also comes with a gorgeous looking anime series. In the game, you get paired up with your own AI buddy Codeman with 16 different AIs to choose from. You can choose from hot waifus or even hotter waifus. Find one to match your personality based off of the initial interview they give you. I apparently match up with the Will, who apparently wants to destroy me in my sleep. Your AI buddy will get smarter via deep learning, learn your playstyle, prevent you from misplaying, and even help you find a winning move that isn't so obvious. With over 500 cards to choose from and 7 different colors worth of playstyles, you can definitely find a playstyle that suits you. Zenonzard features a unique mana movement system where you can take some of your minions on the field and put them back into your base to use as additional mana to push out even more minions very quickly. In gameplay, you cycle through 3 different phases: the mana phase, the main phase, and the flash phase, which is like damage step. You can battle other players' AI asynchronously, so you can take your time and plan your moves, and you can even enjoy real-time live battles against live opponents. Coming from me personally, this game is really pretty and seriously fun. And if you guys want to add me personally, well, check out down in the description. I have included my friend code, and for you guys to add me, you guys are going to need the game. So check out the link in the description to download the game now. And if you guys do it now, you guys have a chance to get additional 240 to 500 cards available for the ongoing events of July. So if you guys don't want to miss out, go check out the link in the description and download it now. You can share your experience with Zenonzard on Facebook and Twitter. Don't forget to use the hashtag ZenonzardACI to connect with others. And I'll see you guys in the Zenons. And back to this video. So as we know, it's not very effective to deal with the Zexal combo preemptively. So what about Post-Zexal? How do you handle them? Well, you can use some of the best hand traps here, which would be Infinite Impermanence, Slide from Gear Gamma, and Dino Wrestler Pankratops. Yes, Dino Wrestler is not a hand trap, but it is a very good option to actually survive. Any other monsters that summon out but cannot actually have an interaction during your opponent's turn, will likely result in your death. So here's why. For infinite impermanence, it's really good, but there's a little bit of mind game that you have to keep track of. Simply because, what if your opponent just doesn't activate the card until you put a card out? Then you can't use imperm, and then you'll be locked out after having one monster. That one monster isn't going to take it far enough, unless you have other cards to chain on top and perhaps link into something big enough to run over that Utopic Zexal. That's going to require a monster with 2k attack. So that's your limitation there. But typically, you just wait for your opponent to activate, because most people would be pretty trigger happy on that. Just imperm when they do it, then you'll be good to go. The other option that's really, really good is Cypher Gear Gamma. Again, suffers the same problems from impermanence. What if you put a monster onto the field first? Then they're pretty screwed. But aside from that, what if you have Lightning Storm? Then they'll put it in defense mode. So in other words, just be careful. I think the proper timing to play Zexal is to put in defense mode. Go into actually wait until the main phase, and let him put one card out before you do anything, especially if it is a monster. But otherwise, chain on the Zexal, pop the Zexal, get the 2 additional bodies to play with, which are linked into some pretty big things. And there's also Dino Wrestler Pankratops. This one is yellow because you have to eat the effect. You'll be locked out of activating effects, but I don't think you're going to die the turn after. And that's why I think it's actually pretty crucial, because most people playing the Numeron engine would not be playing like a full extra deck for anything other than Numerons. And for that matter, once your opponent tries to activate the card effect again, you can actually use Pankratops to pop the field spell, giving you a little bit of a safety net. Otherwise, if you leave a monster, say you did special summon out a free monster, like a Chaos Emperor Dragon or something that can't activate, you run over the Zexal. What then? Your opponent is quite simply just going to activate the effect, summon 4 dudes, and swing into you for game. So you can't blind swing, and the reason why Pankratops works is because it can pop the field spell right after, which gives you a good chance to survive. Now, for a little budget option here, if you're going to be using imperm, can't afford imperm, you can use Forbidden Chalice, which is just as good. Basically the same thing, and Zexal will basically reduce its attack to 400 because it doesn't have an original attack and its effect will be negated. Then there's also Cypher Gear Gamma. Again, most effective probably. Lincoln is probably an OTK, probably just full counter at that point. And Pankratops, pretty good too. Now Gamma's the best option, and if you're going to be going first against the deck, you can completely shut it out by using cards like Skill Drain. And there can be only one. Anti-Spell Fragrance, because it's really spell relevant, and then there's also Imperial Order. Side note, here's the Skill Drain thing. If you're playing on ADO Pro and you get Skill Drain, because Eldritch players, they play Skill Drain themselves, and if you play against like a True Draco player, I'm sorry to the True Draco player that I completely won by using in a completely illegal play. The thing is, EDO Pro is not always right, and this is the one thing that it is wrong on. Hopefully they fix it, but the thing is, I summoned out my 4 dudes. My opponent uses Monarch's Erupt, negating my entire field. The problem with that is I swung into his True Draco dude that was in attack position. I ate the damage and went to the graveyard. And since the cost is removed thanks to Numeron Network, it activated. However, it's not activating properly because Numeron Network specifically states that it has to be a monster you control. A monster in the graveyard isn't a monster I control, but it doubled the attack anyway, and I swung another monster, it doubled it again, making it 4k. So I swung my last monster, making my last one AK, and then I attacked for a game for that AK. Yeah, sorry dude, that was my bad, but since he's a True Draco player, he probably deserved it. If you guys want more information on Numeron rulings, check out the Numeron ruling video that I've done a couple days ago. It should be available probably on the side panel over there. But these are some of the cards that you can use to counter that entire play. So we're going to break down the damage chart, guys. If you guys missed it from before, make sure you guys smash that thumbs up button to make sure that you guys don't scoop too early, and also scoop early enough so you guys don't waste time so you can go into the next game and preemptively side. Give yourself some siding time, guys. So 0 monsters, 4k damage. All of them will take it straight to the face. You're not likely going to die if they're able, unless they're able to summon out the last monster. And even if they go into Chaos number 1, you're only going to take a 3k burn the turn after, which means you're still alive. And if they do that, they have no monsters on the field, so you can even aim for a counterplay OTK against them. And if you're playing a combo deck, that's very likely going to happen. And if you hit into a 1000 attack monster, note that the first monster will destroy it, but every other monster will be boosted by an additional 1000 each, dealing you a total of 6000 damage. And then C9, or rather C1, is going to be able to explode and deal the remaining damage. But you'll have one tiny opportunity to counter you. But if they play a card to prevent any further damage, then that's unfortunate, so you're going to die the turn after. Now, if you put that same monster in defense position, you're going to die by battle because the amount of monsters pointing to the monster is going to be 2, and that's going to put the last 2 monsters at 4k directly to the face. So that's a 1000 defense monster. Now, if you have a monster with 1100 or 1100 attack points, between 1100 and 4000 in attack position is death, and that's just something that you're just gonna have to accept because the last monster will be pushed to 8000, or there's going to be 2 monsters at 4000, and that's going to be quite lethal. However, anything above that, there's going to be diminishing returns for your opponent because the last swing, the third swing of the monster did not destroy the monster, and therefore you're going to take a lot of self-inflicted damage, and the monster will cushion the last push so they won't die, and that's a lot of life points to commit to for not winning the game. And likewise, if the monster is in defense position with 4000 defense, they are going to survive because the 8000 swing will be swinging into that 4k wall, and therefore 0 damage will be dealt. So just to kind of summarize, it's all about the monster manipulation of where the monster is pointing at when they are attacking. So to live, as long as you survive 3 attacks while holding on to 1 additional monster, you will be able to cushion the OTK blow. The other thing is you want to avoid triggering the attack gain twice. Once you trigger the attack gain twice, then you're going to die because there's at least 8000 damage worth of damage on the field. And then the damage range, attack position monster, 1100 to 4000 in attack position, and for defense, you're gonna die if you put a monster in defense with 1000 defense or to about 3900. Then you'll probably die. That's just how it is because 4000 defense is the survival range. So that's really it, guys. So that's all I got for this video, guys. If you guys enjoyed this video, smash that thumbs up button. If you guys want to see more stuff from MST.TV, and don't forget to check out Zen and Zard, which is a very fun game that I am playing. I'm almost at Master now. Well, check it out. Download link in the description below, and also on the pinned comment to maximize your card game these days. And well, that's all I got for this one. So I'll see you guys in the next one.